One way to describe an exhibition would be to think of an exhibition as a story. You could think of an exhibition as a journey, of course, and stories and journeys have much in common. They're largely about narratives, but it doesn't have to be a traditional narrative or a conventional story. Sometimes some of the best exhibitions don't answer questions, they actually pose further questions. I'm the Assistant Director of Artistic Programs, and I'm essentially a curator. I was here for about 4.5 years as project curator before taking on my new role. Curators are exhibition makers, and they are also collection managers, so they take care of works of art, but they also make exhibitions. So my job now involves a curatorial responsibility, but also public programs and audience development and education.
I'm Paul Greenaway, and I'm the director of Greenaway Art Gallery and GAG projects here in Adelaide. I've had this gallery for 24 years, and I also have another space in Berlin for the last 8 years, GAG projects, and now we're working on a new international artists in residency studios in Berlin called Fastmed Studios. I always knew I wanted to be an artist, so that was easy. I went to art school. I did several other degrees, restoration and related arts. And then when this building became available 25 years ago, I thought, yeah, I think I'll just open my own gallery.
I'm Eleanor Zecken, and within my art practice I'm primarily a painting person. That's my discipline. I have been practicing for about 15 years. That's when I first exhibited 15 years ago, and this is my 6th year of also teaching within the painting department at Adelaide College of the Arts. When I was a child, I always drew, I always made things. It was just a natural thing I was drawn to. So I think my career now with teaching art and also being a practicing artist was just a natural evolution of being drawn to making and drawing pictures, and yeah. The process of selecting work for an exhibition is called curating, and for a solo show the artist typically does that initially on their own, and then might have some dialogue with the gallery director before the work goes to the gallery itself. Sometimes even when the work is in the gallery, it might even be changed and cut back even more. With a group show, for instance with the project of Mad 4 that I've just been involved in, we've had throughout 2 years dialogue and sharing about what work we're making, and then it's been a lot of instances where we've all made a lot of work and too much to show, so we've had to consider what is visually the strongest work that will convey the concept that we're actually looking at, and so most of us have had to cut our work down a bit.
The word curator is the same word as the word, has the same root or etymology as the word curiosity. And they also share their meaning with words like curative and words like care. So it's essentially someone who cares for a collection, someone who cares for audiences, someone who cares for the experience of seeing art or experiencing art more generally.
So there are public galleries like the Art Gallery of South Australia, and there are private galleries like mine. I have greater freedom, I can put on what I want. What makes a good gallery? They show works with probity, works that are genuine, and that they're, there are commercial galleries, and I'm not a commercial gallery. I sell things, therefore there's a commerce involved, but I'm more interested in ideas, and I want artists to have good ideas rather than necessarily great markets.
I'm Hugo Michel, and I'm the director of Hugo Michel Gallery. I've been running the gallery for 8 years now. So we are a commercial gallery. So we represent a group of artists. We represent at the moment 21 artists. And so in a sense, we kind of manage their careers. So we predominantly in the front, we've got 2 spaces in our gallery. And so in the front gallery, which is the main space, we hold about 9 exhibitions a year. And the same, we run an exhibition in the rear space as well.
I'm an art dealer. I've had the gallery here in Walkerville for about 12 years now, 14 years. And then I used to deal privately, which means I didn't have a gallery, and I deal in all sorts of artwork from contemporary artists that I represent to all the way back to early colonial Australian art or European, American art, really sort of what you'd call dealing in an art sense in anything I can get my hands on that I think's good, basically.
I believe that exhibitions should be kind of Trojan horses of entertainment. Everyone thinks they're having a good time. Well, they know they're having a good time, but you've managed to sneak in some ideas. You've managed to sneak in, I guess, some education, some learning. You've managed to bring something new to their world, all the while almost disguised as entertainment and fun.
It is an opportunity for the artists to show their work to the public. In a nutshell, basically. Exhibitions can take many different forms. They can be very accessible to a wide variety of people in the public, or they can be marketed or promoted or shown to more of a select array of people as well. But typically it's a very public, kind of community-based opportunity for people to see what you do as an artist.
An exhibition is basically a grouping of works of a like manner, and that might be it's a like manner because one artist does the work, or there's some context of it. If it's a group show, then it might be artists that all paint the same way or sculpt the same way or have been away and done a course together, or it might be an exhibition on, say, the horse. Some will be to do with the horse. So I think it's the concept that's most important there.
The most challenging thing about getting an exhibition going is probably artists, because all artists are really different, and we like to give artists a lot of control in our exhibitions, and they often come up with ideas 2 days before the exhibition of how they would like to change, say, paint, our gallery, which is 20 metres long by 10 metres wide. They want to paint the whole thing black, and we need to do that overnight.
In today's climate, the most challenging thing is trying to provide an income for the artists that I work with, because many of them don't necessarily want to be rich and famous, but they would like to be able to feed themselves and have opportunities to make other work and new work. So, and the other challenge is to bring young people into the gallery. You can't. People my age are generally fairly boring, and it's not that I discourage them, I hope they come as well, but you need to have new generations of people coming through and understanding something about the art that they're looking at.
As a curator, you have to manage lots of different temporalities or timescales. You're working on an exhibition that's up, like Tarnandy. We'll be giving talks about this exhibition. We'll be working with the artists to bring their work to life when they step in and speak about their own work. We'll be working on the next exhibition. We might also be working on an exhibition that's planned for 5 years' time.
We tend to put a calendar together and work out a calendar 6 to 12 months ahead, sometimes a bit longer if it's a major exhibition. We then formulate a list of what shows are going to be in what order, so that you don't have 2 photographic shows in a row, you don't have 2 sculptural shows. We very rarely do group exhibitions, but once a year I do a group exhibition at the end of the year, sometimes introducing an artist I may never have shown before, and other times some of our associate artists, or if somebody does a one-off piece.
I think it's kind of always changing, because you're constantly, one of the challenging things about a gallery is it's just when you're getting just when you're getting into an exhibition, it changes. You change the exhibition. We do shows for a month, and so it's really fast paced, and you always have to kind of be a month in front of. Or like I was saying earlier with the exhibitions, we plan them, a year to 2 years in advance. But often the show that you're exhibiting now, the work you're doing is for the show that's coming up next, and the invite's going out, the work's coming down, it's being photographed. So I guess it's always kind of thinking in front is one of the challenging things.
The preparation of an exhibition can take a lifetime. It can take a number of years. It can take a number of months, and it will take all of those things, obviously. I mean, every moment that you stage or you consider, you invent an exhibition, you're drawing upon your life's work, your life's experience. You're often working simultaneously, so you'll be, at the moment for instance, I'm working on the next Adelaide Biennial, but I'm also working on a project which launches this time next year. So you're at different stages of the project. So it does take a lot of time. It's something that takes a lot of time, but not dissimilar to other creative projects.
An artist may be involved, for instance, in a group show where they help curate work. After before they've made the work, they might be involved in discussions with other artists or even the gallery director about what type of work they might be making. Once they've, or throughout the process of making it as well, they might be having dialogue with a gallery director or a different space that they're showing in order to work out the type of space the work needs to be shown in, and what pragmatic concerns there are, like lighting, facilities, other electrical facilities, and accessibility to the public, promotion, marketing. So creating a bit of a buzz and excitement about a show coming up as well. A lot of work goes into that throughout the production of the actual artwork itself. Some artists, I would say, have the luxury of just being in the studio making the work, and their gallery director has all these other assistants and they manage all of that. So they make the work, they might get it wrapped up and someone picks it up and delivers it. So it really depends on the role that they play.
Advertising for exhibitions tends to have different cycles. So some magazines you need a lead-up time of 3 to 4 months, or even 6 months for one of the international magazines. So you have to be quite organised ahead, and we do full-page ads for most artists, but in different magazines depending on who the artist is and what their potential market or audience might be. So we might do a full page in Art Collector, we might do a half page in Paquette magazine, we do listings in lots of magazines and newspapers. So that part's important. We keep a list, as people show interest in a particular artist, we keep a list of their names and over the period between exhibitions, and we keep that list, and then when an exhibition's coming up we send them all a PDF of all images and prices of all available works of that artist, so that when the show's on, hopefully then somebody has already shown interest, and we might be able to sell something on behalf of the artist.
If you're organising an exhibition, it's really just being generally organised. So you've got to be able to know where what newspapers to advertise in, what art galleries to art publications to advertise in. You've got to know who might buy the items that you're wanting to sell for the artist. You've got to be able to talk to the artist and say to them, listen, These are the sort of works that you do that we're interested in. So they'll be they're probably the ones that we should exhibit.
The viewer is the most important person in the equation. So the viewer makes the exhibition, the audience makes the exhibition. After the viewer, of course, it's the artist, and the artist is almost always present through the work. And this work behind me by Barbara Moore, who lives up in Armata in the APY lands. She's a Madja woman, so she's from much further north, but she's been living in Armata. And in this work, you can't look at this without imagining her working the surface. There's a kind of incredible dynamic approach to making paint. You can see the ridges of the paint. It's why you need to see works in the flesh. It's why the digital experience of art rarely comes close to the physical experience. You feel as though you are with the artist in the making of the work when you experience great art.
I think that audiences want a variety of things from an exhibition. I think it depends on their taste. I think it depends on their knowledge and their openness as well. I think that the public is so diverse that you can never really accurately guess what they'll engage with.
An audience generally wants something they like. They're going to come if they like what's represented. And that might be the way it looks, or it might be more the way it's done. And the other thing often audiences want in an art gallery is just a social interaction. So at openings and that, people might just come along because they want to have something to do.
You want to be able to walk in and see something fresh. You don't want to walk in and say, I think I've seen all those still life paintings before. I think I've seen all those landscapes before. I think I've seen all those portraits before. You want people to add something to it. So the most important thing is to walk in and find something new.
Having the right amount of work is a really important thing. You can have an exhibition that has only 2 works in a really large space and it works perfectly, or you can have, you can have 60 works in that same space and it work, but you can also have 60 works in that same space and it not work and it feel completely overhung, and same again with 2. So I think that's really important, kind of knowing a space and coming back to knowing the space and kind of painting shows for that, or photographing and kind of knowing when to stop.
For a specific exhibition in deciding what to present, it's probably something that we've worked out with the artist and basically mapped out, and it might be fairly abstract, probably a year away when we decide, because it normally takes that long from when you decide to have an exhibition for the artist to actually make the work and then have time to put the exhibition on. So they'll probably come and said, I want to do something on whatever it is, and then we'll say, yeah, that's a good idea, or have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? Then they'll go away and basically do the work.
The theme of an exhibition can have an enormous impact on gallery layout. It was really important in Tarnandy in this exhibition, for instance, to reflect the diversity of Aboriginal art and culture through the display. So rather than taking all of the work from the desert and placing it in one whole section and then doing other things, we've decided to create a kind of rhythm. So you move from various themes and ideas, but also materialities, so that you get this idea that the diversity of what you're seeing, the diversity of sensation and experience reflects the diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art.
I think the theme of an exhibition can have a big impact on the gallery layout, depending on how you're wanting the audience to interact with the work and how you want them to feel when they walk in. This particular show for MAD 4 is not just about a celebratory type of feel of motherhood and art, but there are some other slightly darker undercurrents as well, but we still wanted a lot of breathing space. Partly it was pragmatic because we had lots of people on the opening night, but people with prams and wheelchairs, so you want to again make it accessible. But we also wanted some of the artwork to be down low because we knew we were having children in here as well, and so there is a consideration as far as how far up the wall or down the wall you place things, so it's accessible to tiny people as well. Yeah, and we didn't want it to be a hands-off exhibition in a way. Some of the objects are down low that they're almost calling to be touched, and that's okay.
So I guess to get, we definitely, when we set up exhibitions, sometimes we'll go with a standard white room and, and your 10 paintings lit beautifully and perfectly, and that's fine, and that's a really standard gallery hang. Our gallery is a white box, but often we do want to go a little bit further than that and kind of create an atmosphere within the gallery, and that's probably done with, that's probably the artist's direction as well. But so sometimes we'll paint the whole gallery black and just spot just the individual work, so you come into the gallery and it's completely pitch black, and that's and it really changes the way people behave in a gallery when you do that. People always whisper when you paint a gallery black. They walk into a gallery and they whisper to each other rather than talking, and when it's painted white they talk.
The idea, the theme, the topic behind the exhibition can come from the most unlikely, unanticipated sources. I guess it's like all creative ideas. That's the most creative part of being a curator, is dreaming up the concept. For me, it's really about trying to tap in to what it is that the audience, that our viewers, that the world is engaged in. Because we are largely a reflection of what's happening out there. So I try and do that. I don't try and do that in a way that we try and mirror everything that's happening out there, because that art's role is not just to mirror. Art's role can be to lead. Art's role can be to critique, it can be to shape, it can be to fracture, it can be to augment. Sometimes it is to reflect. So each perspective renders a new kind of exhibition.
Because we're a commercial gallery, we predominantly have solo exhibitions of artists, and so we tend that we don't direct an artist in any direction because we manage them. We love what they do anyway, so our artists paint what they want to paint, or they photograph what they want to photograph. So we don't actually kind of ever control them in what we would like them to produce. I guess the only thing is that we would do that I guess works with that is every now and then we'll do group exhibitions, and so we will kind of think out a bit of a theme of a show, or we'll realise that we might have 3 artists in our stable of artists that work really well together.
Portraying an idea or an emotion in an exhibition can be aided through the kind of theatricality of the space. So where we are now is a good example. These darkened walls focus our attention on the paintings themselves. The way that we've controlled the lighting means that the walls recede, as dark walls do anyway, so that the works themselves emerge from the wall. The colour is felt more keenly. So there is, when I say feel, it's not just about the sense of sight. There is often a sensory involvement where you do start to feel the heat of the George Dungarai canvas over there that's in warm colours. So it's the art of exhibition making that enables you to communicate a feeling or an emotion or a theme.
In order to create atmosphere and convey emotion within an exhibition, apart from the artwork itself, you can play with lighting. So by low lighting or bright lighting, you can really change the feeling of a space and how people interact with the visual imagery as well. And the other thing that a lot of artists might employ is a soundscape. So it could be coming from a video work, or it could just be audio that's also broadcast within the space. I've also been to some exhibitions in which there have been installation components, and there's been fans blowing and that type of different sensory type of interaction.
A good curator is someone who possesses curiosity. It's a role that's all about curiosity. A good curator is someone who knows how to care for their audiences and also care for the objects that they manage. A good curator is someone who puts the audience first in the experience or in the art of making an exhibition. Because without the audience, there is no exhibition, there is no experience. I think a good curator is someone who works well with people and with objects.